Hi friends, and welcome to Crick Vidya's IPL podcast. After doing the team reviews of each team prior to the start of IPL, we are now moving to a bi-weekly roundup of IPL matches, where we look at matches that have gone by and also discuss the upcoming matches. For today's episode, we are joined by two guests. Our first guest is Raghav Ravichandran, who's a cricket analyst with over 360 articles published across four prominent portals. He has his own cricket podcast called Cricket Unplugged. We'll be putting a link to his podcast, and you should surely give it a go. Also, he is a special correspondent to Full Toss, the voice of cricket in America on Masala Radio, which is based out of Houston, USA. Raghav, hi, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Sunit. Thanks for having me.
Our
Looking
second,
forward to
yeah,
the episode.
sure. Our second guest needs no introduction. He's been a regular on Crick Vidya's podcast and known to everybody who follows cricket on Twitter as well. Manju, hi, and welcome back to the
Yeah.
podcast.
Hi, Sunit. Thanks a lot.
So today we'll be discussing the first four matches that have gone by in IPL, and so let's start one by one and have your views on. Uh, Maybe we'll focus on team selection and some strategic mistakes or good things that the teams did, and also if there was a turning point in the match where you thought the match actually changed from one team having advantage to the other. So let's start with the first match, which was Mumbai versus CSK, the tournament opener. So your thoughts first on the team selection, because there were hundreds of team reviews done before the IPL started, and I think we've seen quite a few surprises once the teams have played their first matches, and it was not actually the kind of teams that we were expecting. So Raghav, your views?
Yeah, I think for starters, I think this IPL, I think no team is going to be exactly prepared. So we can expect a lot of surprises in the first 2-3 games at least. So keeping that in mind, selection point of view, I think Mumbai uh, almost got it spot on. Apart from the fact that Saurav Tiwari was playing, although he got a 40, I don't think he's fit enough to play. So you need he needs to add value as a fielder. I don't think he can do that. So that is the only point in Mumbai Indians. Chennai Super Kings was a little bit dicey situation because they didn't have Bravo. So I also was expecting Bravo to be part of the 11, but maybe he is carrying a niggle from the CPL. I'm not sure exactly on his status. So apart from that, I was fine with the team. But only point is I wanted somebody like Jagdishan to be a part of the squad instead of Murli Vijay, because he had Gaikwad who was not available for the first game because he had due to COVID reasons. So that was my only change. Apart from that, I was happy with the foreign players, considering you don't have a Prabhu. So selection wise, that was good overall. It was not that big a thing. Only thing, as I said, Murli Vijay didn't deserve to be playing to start off a big tournament like this. Hopefully, they will not pick him henceforth. Personally,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Manju, your views on team selection?
Yeah, they had this game. CSK had better matchups than Mumbai, so they played the matchups game very well. Like having a left-hander for left-handers in their lineup. So they made some innovative changes. As far as Murli Vijay, I think it's maybe the time is nearing, but you never know. Even in Rajasthan game, he didn't play that well, and maybe under the pressure of a target. So we don't know. Maybe they have invested him for a longer run. Let's see.
Mm.
So it would be a little too early to judge Murli Vijay. And
And
also
going
regarding
by,
Saurabh Tiwari,
yeah, please.
yeah, even regarding Saurabh Tiwari, I don't know. Maybe lockdowns and all have not allowed players to remain that fit. But batting wise, he was good. I felt he was timing it well. So maybe one more game, maybe today's game, he'll get a goal. Let's see.
So I think Vijay and Saurabh Tiwari were quite similar selections where both were
Right.
unexpected, and also they played in terms of they looked rusty in the start, but then Vijay could not get going, but Saurabh Tiwari actually made runs. But
Yes.
flip side for him was that he was not actually looking fit. So in that sense, everybody was surprised to see him in the 11. Uh, but in terms of uh, let's say if we talk about the important part of the match, so I would say while chasing, Raidu was the one who was actually
Yeah.
influential in making Chennai win. So, so your views on who was critical for who, and what was the turning point of the match, Manju?
Yeah, the Raidu's innings definitely. But along with him, there was also Faf du Plessis who stayed till the very end. So again, we get into the debate whether an anchor is needed or no. But this is the perfect kind of total, around 160, where an anchor's role can be very important. Otherwise, you can lose wickets in a flash and be out of the contest. So that way, even Raidu this game, he played well. He hit the boundaries at will and took the pressure off Faf. So Faf was able to exist at a strike rate of 110, 120, and finally he finished the game eventually for CS.
Yeah.
And also the bets that Dhoni took in terms of sending Jadeja and Karan actually paid off in match
Yeah, they paid off.
one. So,
Yeah.
so Raghav, your views, are these sustainable things? As we've already seen in the second match, they when a bigger total came by, uh, they were not able to actually give them match-winning performances. So, your views on these kind of tactics?
No, I think that this static will stay for Chennai Super Kings, where Sam Curran will be your floater. I won't be surprised if he opens the next game also. Like a Sunil Narayan for KKR. I think Sam Curran's role would be very similar for Chennai Super Kings, is my personal opinion. After the way he's batted, more than his bowling, his batting is really picked up in this IPL. So that that aside, I think the strategic, the main turning point, in my opinion, is as Manju already spoke about the partnership with Raidu and Duplessis, and Duplessis staying till the end. So that is a key aspect to it. And secondly, in when Mumbai they lost the plot a bit when you have players like Karen Pollard, who is coming off extremely productive all-round series in the CPL as a captain, as a bowler, as a batsman, and so they could have bowled 1 or 2 overs of Karen Pollard, and I don't know why Rohit Sharma didn't use Hardik Pandya. So clearly that was a turning point for me. When Bumrah was going for runs, when other bowlers around him couldn't break the partnership, they just needed to break the Raidu Duplessis partnership, and probably I think Mumbai would have won the game. So because other batsmen after him, we don't know how they'll play. After 6 months, you're not sure how Dhoni is going to cope up. Jadhav. So you have a lot of ifs and buts. So to just break the flow, 1 over of Pollard, 1 over of Hardik Pandya, they could have avoided the Kunal Pandya's fourth over. Classic example where the match completely went away from their hands. So that is a turning point for me. Not using all rounders effectively enough. And probably can give him some credit by saying it's a first game after 6 months. Like, I don't think you should be that harsh on Rohit Sharma, but I'll be surprised if they don't ball today as well. I hope they'll at least get 1 or 2 overs out of these guys. So it reduces the load on Umrah mainly if he is not having a great day. So that's
True. So let's quickly move to match two, which was actually a very interesting
Yeah.
match. Delhi versus Punjab, and so Delhi batted first and made a kind of a par score, and Kings 11 were on their way to win it. No, not actually on their way. Actually, Mike Agarwal provided that late boost, after which it was looking like a comfortable win. and then suddenly the glory shot came, and Mayank Agarwal got out, and then the match turned on its head. So, your views, Manju, on the match? What were your key moments for this match?
Yeah, key moments was Stoinis coming good. So actually, till 17th over, Delhi were looking nowhere in the contest, and also the pitch was difficult. The ball was not coming on. There were a few batsmen like Pant who got out because they were not finding the timing. And then Stoinis came and played a good innings, like 52 of 20. That was like a game-changing innings. So he was the one who pushed that target up to something which they could defend.
Yeah. So, Raghav, your views on the second innings, especially where again there was an anchor who took them deep and then tried to take them home, but was almost successful. But that glory shot actually was the only mistake that he did.
Yeah, uh, the stuff because Mayank Agarwal played a extremely good now. But if you look at the other batsmen, there are some seriously rash shots and uncalled for shots almost. So that is the problem, and especially somebody like Nicholas Puran. So expectations were high, extremely high, and I think can call it a commentator's curse, where Sunil Gavaskar was building up that he's the next star to look out for. He's going to be the game changer for Kings and Punjab. There's that, and then second ball he plays that shot. So that kind of thing where you needed somebody to be with him. Like the first game, you had Raidu who succeeded because Duplessis played that anchor or the key role. He gave him the strike, and Raidu was given the license to go after the bowling, and Duplessis took care of the things from his end. That was what Mayank Agarwal missed.
Small mention or a small thought from you guys on. So the logic said Mayank Agarwal should have come out, but they actually didn't ask him to come out, and Puran actually played that big shot again, and that led to the folding for just 2 runs. So Manju,
No, the management tends to designate them before the game, probably. So sometimes some decisions are taken quite early and well in advance. So maybe they couldn't. But for the bowling, they chose Mohammad Shami. So again, he was the good performer of the day. So don't know. They could have gone for Mayank because he was hitting it well. Maybe Mayank, Krishnappa, Gautam could have been there, but they didn't feel so. The coaching staff may not have felt that.
Same here. I completely agree with what Manju said. So it would have been decided before the game. Suppose we head into a super over, these three batsmen go. But Mayank had enough of a breather also. If you look at the time between the match getting over and super over, he had enough time, enough breathing space. He could have created an impact for sure. I'm not sure about Gautam, but I'm fine with KL Rahul and Maxwell being there because you never know what you can expect with Maxwell. The super over, he might come out and 18 of 3 or something. So it's always nice to have Maxwell in the super over. And KL Rahul, of course, as opener captain, so he can definitely Mayank Agarwal instead of Nicholas Puran. But as we saw, it was a pretty lame super over, if I had to use the word, because 3 balls the super over is over. So definitely could have gone, at least they could have finished the over even if they scored 7 or 8 runs, whatever. But 3 balls, 2 for 2 is not. Anyway, again, as I said, this is all part of the so-called discovery phase of this IPL, where everyone is finding the feet and all that. So even super over is a brand new experience for all these players. So I think we should not be over judgmental on how they played in the super over. But yes, choices definitely. I go with Manju on the fact that it would have been decided earlier.
Also, small moments won it for Delhi basically, like Ashwin's over of 2 wickets. Then those catches in the end, very smartly taken by the fielders. So they definitely edged ahead in those moments.
Right. So we move to the third match, which was RCB versus SRH. So RCB again surprised everyone with their team selection, I would say. Maybe Morris was injured, as we
Yeah.
heard it today from their coach. But at that
Yes.
point, it looked like they had gone with all power play bowlers, with only one death bowler in the form of Saini available. But in the second innings also, I think SRH were on course to win it with Bairstow and Manish Pandey well set to take them home. And then suddenly the match turned on its head. Chahal took 2 wickets, and then everything crumbled like a house of cards. So I think it was a lucky victory for RCB, but they actually needed that luck from the past few years, and they've got that this year. So hopefully, in that sense, they might be able to go into the tournament more confidently going forward, and it might turn out to be that one like the one thing that they require at the start. So the momentum building thing. So Raghav, your views. Who was the better team there?
Better team, I think RCB
Okay.
on the day. But I think it is more of Sunrisers Hyderabad gifting the game than RCB doing much, if you ask me. Apart from Child's brilliant spell, so it didn't look like he has not played cricket for a long time. The way he
Yeah.
was getting the revs on the ball, he looked really good. And Saini came back and did well, but Shivam Dubey's 2 wickets. Yes, it's going to be. He is going to be found out soon. That's for sure. Shivam Dubey. There will be a lot of talk in Twitter also that RCB has finally found the balance. I don't think they have found the balance because you need to have Morris. You need to have Morris in your team. Dale Steyn didn't look Dale Steyn. But I think one game we can't judge him, but I don't think he's going to add much value in the first half of this tournament. Once the pitches start to completely disintegrate, because you're after all playing only in 3 grounds. So
Hmm.
pitches will get lower and slower. I think that's where a person like Dale Steyn actually may find himself in the team and more value by getting that extra zip on those lifeless pitches. So, but if we look at overall, this is probably, in my personal opinion, the batting point of view, at least, the weakest I have seen SRH in a long time. SRH, Deccan Chargers, however you want to call them. It's the weakest because you have Warner, Bairstow, Manish Pandey. And then there is no one else who can win you games, who you can confidently say can win you games. So there is talent, upcoming talents like Priyam Garg, Abhishek Kapoor, and one guy they should have picked, in my opinion, Abdul Samad. So I've seen
Yeah.
him I think, if I'm not wrong, he plays for Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah.
He can hit the ball. So I think they're strategized to build a team where you have these 3 seniors hold the fort on the top, and you have middle. There is a lot of vacuum there. I don't know. Is it a case of getting somebody like Williamson just to make sure the middle order looks solid? I'm not sure. But yeah, on the day, I would say RCB were lucky, but lot of positives. And mainly, I think the way Saini, and especially to just round up from my end, is the ABD. Because I was really doubtful how he'll go about, but he looked in his element. Not only the stroke play, the way he was taking the singles and converting them into twos. And of course, we have the particular was proved everybody Yuvraj Singh. So I don't want to compare him to Yuvraj Singh, but yeah, the stands, the elegance. So hopefully he, like Mayank Agarwal, hopefully this bloke can have a great season, because Indian team could do with player like Devdutt Padikkal, I think, soon. So lot of positives, and SRH, there's lot to worry about actually. Up for, and yeah, it's a lot to worry about. There's not, I don't get much confidence after their first game. Of course, it's only one game, but still, confidence is not that high on them.
So Manju, your views on the team selection of do anything different in terms of
Yeah, actually the
yeah.
RCB.
So you can start.
Yeah, so SRH actually, when Kane comes back, it will be good thing to have him in that middle order to prevent these collapses. 19 World Cup, like the top heavy, top three people have to fire all the time. There is too much pressure, and middle order is either untested or like undiscovered. So soon they have to do something about it. Otherwise, most of the time they will end up in situations like this. Like this is not to discredit the youngsters, but they need some other players to guide them in the middle. Or you may have to have one of Warner or Bairstow to drop anchor and stay till the 16th or 17th over each time, so that these players can play around them. So standalone you can't, or Manish Pandey has to take more responsibility. Like in this game, unfortunately, it was the last ball of that over. He could have chosen to see it off, but he decided to take on the spinner. So these small percentages may work against them. So because there's no like we can't actually blame the youngsters for not going through, because the senior players should take them through.
Yeah. So lastly, we move to the yesterday's match, which was Rajasthan versus CSK. So Rajasthan had Sanju Samson in full flow and took them to 216. And then Chennai never looked like being able to chase down the total. And a lot has been talked about the intent of players, especially Jadhav and Dhoni in the death overs. So your views on that? Did it look like that they had already given up? So they were actually trying to just have that match time to gain some confidence, or what were your views about it? Raghav?
I think it is a combination of players who are not in nick, and the fact that he had a very poor start. Power play is extremely crucial when you're chasing 217 on any pitch. It can be the flattest of pitches like Sharjah. You had a very substandard power play. There was no, I would say, intent from the openers. I would actually question. Even Watson takes time to get going, but he took too much time for my liking. But then apart from that, I think once you have such a slow start, it's always going to be tough. My only point is if captain who is known to have such a how do you call aura around himself, MSD, and people are waiting for him to come back to the game and this that, he should have come ahead of the other, because he needs that extra 5-6 balls. So that is something which people have followed Indian cricket from 2017-18. That period we have also noticed he needs that extra cushion, then he can get going. So if he, that was my only point. The match was gone by the, let's say, 12th over because of what happened in the opening stint, and Duplessis was doing his bit, but again just not helping much. So at the end of the day, again in a, I think Crick was live, Ashraf Bogla was saying. So it looked like they're just playing for the net run rate, because you never know with a team like CSK this year, they could squeeze in the fourth spot in the playoffs just through their net run rate. And if that was the case, I think they have achieved what they wanted, because they got to 200. 16 runs is not that bad when it comes to net run rate. But Dhoni should have batted up the order, because the way he hit Tom Curran the last over, it clearly said that he has that hitting power in him, even though he admitted in the post-match conference that he was not sure about how he'll go about his batting, post the lockdown quarantine, all that. But so is Jadhav, or for a matter, even Jadeja. Nobody's sure how they're going to play. So that, I think he should have taken that responsibility, come up the order. Maybe there could have been a different result or a closer finish. But by the 12th over, it was gone. They were just waiting for the game to get overtimes. So That is something which CSK has to think about. Means change, bring in some youngsters like Jagdishan, remove Vijay, even Watson. Yeah, I think we can rotate him maybe, play him for few games, then bring in somebody like Bravo when he's fit. Bravo and Karan would add lot of value, I feel, in the team. So some things like that. But yeah, I won't question the intent. Rajasthan were pretty good. We should not discredit their bowling. So not anything to do with intent, only batting positions and the openers, how they went about it. That definitely they need to think about it.
So Manju, your thoughts, especially on bringing Bravo in. So once he is fit, do you think Sam Curran goes out, or would you say Watson should be dropped and Sam Curran opens?
So it will be a good idea to try Sam Curran at the top of the order because he's been opening the batting in the T20 Blast. So he hasn't done badly for himself. So it will be worth considering. And plus he's a left-hander and CSK is plagued by shortage of left-handers. So they need that variety in their batting order. So both Curran and Jadeja will be good additions. Maybe Curran can be sent at the top. And even Jadeja every now and then can be promoted depending on the bowling. Like how against Krunal Pandya he did well. Although he got out to him, but still he can be promoted in such situations where the matchup is in his favor.
Sure. So let's also talk about the role of Dew. While we have seen a lot of Dew coming, and that has actually helped the team batting second, but the results actually are not very in favor of that. So team batting first have won most of the matches. So in your sense, winning the toss, fielding first, do you think that will be the trend in the entire series?
Well, if the spinners are confident enough to, bowl with the Dew, then there may be a change. But otherwise, looking at the numbers, usually most of these managements, they look at all the statistics. So based on that, it has always been a field first decision. So mostly this tournament, we're going to see that unless there is some other exceptional cases there, or if there is a chance for batting first and setting a total, I don't see many people choosing to bat first. Default decision is going to be fielding first, looking at the statistics at the ground.
Sure. So let's now talk about the matches that are going to happen in the next 3-4 days. So today we have KKR versus Mumbai Indians.
Mumbai.
KKR's opening encounter and Mumbai Indians coming back for their second match. So what changes would you like to see in Mumbai Indians 11? And secondly, KKR being the batting, I think they have one of the best batting lineups. Where do you see the batting order in terms of Narayan opening, or does Rahul Tripathi fit into the top three? So Manju, you can go first.
Yeah, so regarding this opening, it has always been a problem for KKR regarding do they go back to the regular openers or not? So many of our fans also in their previews, they have even said the opening pair of Gill and Rahul Tripathi is they can go with that. But I feel that with Sunil Narine and the records which he has, it's always worth going with him at the top of the order. And maybe we can go with Gill and Narine and play Rahul Tripathi at number 3. So that would be my preferred choice. But in most of the previews, even on Cricinfo, Cricbuzz, the team sheet which has been given, there is Tripathi is coming at 6 or 7. So I'm not sure what the final order will be. So these top 3, they will do well. Then we always have like Jamaica, they have a strong middle order, Russell, then DK. So that they will slot in at 6, 7 mostly.
True. So Raghav, your views?
So I also kind of agree with Manju on many points where we said Tripathi's role has to be defined clearly. So team management needs to define his role because he's more comfortable at the top of the orders. And KKR unfortunately this season have 4 players who are very good at the top of order. Narayan, Gill, Tom and Tripathi. So how do you pick whom or where do you? So I would say first 2 3 games they might give a Sunil Narayan the freedom to go and express himself. They don't expect much from him, to be frank. Anyway, if he gets to the 20 runs, they'll be happy. So they have the other batsmen like Morgan this year. I'm looking forward to him. So to seeing him back. So the they need to make sure that Tripathi doesn't come as perfectly put by Amaja at 4 or 5 down. That's not his position. That is where your DK and Dre Russ, they come in and but one aspect or one interesting angle I want to bring in is Andre Russell should be used as a floater in
Mm.
Maybach's club. I don't
Yeah,
want to see him fixed at 3 down or 4
right.
down. Because especially they play 2 games in Sharjah, I think. 2 or 1
Mm.
game, I'm not sure. Sharjah is where he needs to get at least 40 50 balls for sure. He can create havoc there. So you need to be a little bit flexible. And overall, I think, yes, it's going to be a season where Shubman Gill is going to be given a full run at the top of the order. That is great. So that way it looks more settled. Because one thing which we noticed last IPL, KKR's campaign derailed midway with the performances, and the team looked disturbed. You had Robin Uthappa fighting with the DK on the field, Russell and DK having the on-field spat. It didn't look like a team gelling together. So this time it looks much calmer with Baz McCullum as the coach. Then Morgan in the team is a very huge influence to play. He's not the captain, but he's going to be a default captain, almost like with Dhoni guiding Kohli for India types till he was playing for India. So that kind of a situation where Morgan does all the work, hard work, and DK just kind of plays the supporting role. So it's going to be really interesting. But again, and one more thing is how many games will they give Pat Cummins? I'll be curious because he didn't have a great tour of England. So I'm just curious to know to see actually because they paid 15.5 crores for him. So going by that logic, you should play all the 14 games, 16, 14 or 16. It depends how far KKR reaches. But yeah, that's an interesting angle because you don't want to pick him just for the price tag. If he's not performing, they should be brave enough to throw him out of the playing 11. So let's see. That is a curious angle. Curious to
And according to you, who can come in for Saurabh Tiwari if he had to be replaced?
Isan Kishan. He has been doing that from Mumbai. So, and he can, or because Decock is there, I think Quinton Decock can keep, but Isan Kishan, and more importantly, you need to have a look at the overall balance. And one more point, which many franchises will slowly come to terms is that stamina factor. So in this tournament, because it's very trying conditions, so you cannot have Saurav Tiwari types for a long run. First few games, I think they might stick him, but at the end of the day, you need Ishan Kishan's. He also brings in that flexibility as well. Saurav Tiwari, I don't think he can finish games. Ishan Kishan, you can drop him down the order if you want to also. So more options, in my opinion, just by having him in your playing level. So yeah, Ishan Kishan is there.
So, guys, your prediction on who is going to come on top of the other, like which team wins today? So,
Yeah, KKR
Raghav,
looks
I
good.
think it would be
Yeah, it's
Mumbai Indians.
okay. So, chalo, we have different opinions, so we'll have a good game to look at. But obviously, both teams are quite strong, so I think it will be quite a competitive game. And Mumbai actually never gives up till the end, so that is something that will be on the show on show from them this match also. So, two strong teams. Uh, competing. So let's move to the next match. That will be tomorrow, which is Kings 11 versus RCB.
RCB.
So RCB coming after a win. So what any changes you would like these teams to make in their 11? Manju?
I think it's too early for RCB to chop and change. Let them go with the same 11 for now. And maybe one more game to Umesh. One more opportunity Umesh to prove himself. So I don't think we should be very harsh on him and immediately make some sweeping changes. So because see, even Chawla conceded 2 runs in 47 runs in 2 overs. So so we should give him one more opportunity. So we'll see if this attack. So far the attack has worked. So I don't think there should be any need to panic. And I think Philip arrangement is being made for him to become a regular keeper, and they want to avoid AB keeping such scenario. So Philip's number is not yet decided as far as batting. So they can consider using him to open the innings.
But opening, then who do they drop?
Yeah, they have again during the previews also the same problem. Now even Parthiv Patel is an opener, and everyone wants to be an opener. Yeah. So that is the problem. So yeah, so quite a bit of same dilemma and recurring also, again.
Another thought that I would like from you guys is the role of Washington Sundar. So he only bowled 1 over in the last match. So do you think these matchups that now that 2 right-handers are playing, you'll not just bowl him? Does that actually make sense to you guys? Raghav?
I don't think so. It's not very... I don't agree with that logic. And then when you have, especially in the first game, when you have Umesh Yadav going for runs and you had to bring it back, so it's not that bad also. 1 over you can't. So you need to give at least.
And 1 over he went for just 7, right?
Yeah.
So it was not that he bowled an over and was expensive.
Yeah.
So I would want to question that tactic that you will just not bowl him, especially when your other bowlers are going for runs. And what about death bowling? So Steyn or Umesh Yadav don't really look good enough for death, even in their prime, let's say 2-3 years back also. So still they're going with both of them and just having Navdeep Saini. It's good that Shivam Dube came good. If either of Manish Pandey or Bairstow would have been there, I don't think his performance would have looked this good. So your thoughts on, I don't think that's a sustainable kind of a combination if you want to win regularly. Raghav?
Yeah, definitely it's not, as I told earlier as well, Shivam Dube got very lucky. So you should not, RCB shouldn't consider that as a solution. Like you can bank on him. So as far as death bowling goes, I think it's too hard early to judge Umesh Yadav because the way he was bowling for India also at times, he can be really expensive, but he can really. But I think I'm little surprised that Kohli didn't go back to the formula he used in 2019. He bowled 3 overs of Umesh Yadav in the power play, but I guess because Umesh Yadav got blasted in the first 2 overs, he was a little bit circumspect, I guess. So that is because that makes it even more important that you bowl Washington Sundar, if not for 4 overs, for 3 overs, because he's your death bowler, like with 1 over of Chawla, 1 over of Sundar, Saini balls 2 overs. And I think this game, you might have Chris Morris playing. So, for Steyn. So, I don't think they'll continue with Steyn. Personally, although one game, he didn't look that bad either, but his role is, if his role is only to come at the top of the order and get that early breakthroughs, fine. I'm completely happy with Steyn in 11. But clearly, they are banking on his experience to guide Saini, Umesh Yadav, and others. and experience comes most handy in pressure situations at the death overs. So I don't know. So if Morris is fit, he has to play. And if you are going to project Felipe as your keeper, I completely agree with Manju that he has to open, and maybe a tough call has to be taken where they drop Finch from the team to make Felipe open the batting. So he opens the batting, he keeps you open one slot in the middle order, bring in a Morris. Then I think the team looks much more solid than it looks now. So that would be the only selection point of view. Only change I would want to see if Morris is fit, of course. I don't know whether he's fit. So just remove Finch from the team.
So again, for this match, predictions, who do you think will win this match?
Yeah, I stick to my earlier point. Mumbai Indians.
No.
For the
We
next,
move to the second match, right?
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
next match.
I
RCB
think
versus Kings 11.
I'll go with RCB as well.
Since it is the
Manju?
Karnataka derby, I'll go with KXIP. Like on both sides, there are same players actually.
Same, right?
Even Chris Jordan was in RCB once upon a time. So.
Yeah.
So then we move to Friday, which is CSK versus Delhi Capitals.
Yes.
So that will be an interesting match because Delhi is coming out of a very confident victory, and Chennai after a defeat where there have been a lot of questions raised about even captaincy of Dhoni as well as the intent of players not trying to win the match. So Delhi, would you see any changes happening for Delhi?
Apart from Ashwin, not much. I feel so. Instead of Ashwin, they may bring in another a spinner. There may be a case to bring in Lamichhane or Mishraji, depending on the combination. So if they are happy with the current 4 overseas, then there's no place for Sandeep. So they may consider playing Mishra as the sole leg spinner in this. And another thing is they may have to rethink Rabada with Nokia is not, maybe not, it may have been a forced change. So if Ishant gets fit, then maybe he may come in place.
So if Ishant comes in, they can actually play Lamichhane as well.
Yes.
Quite easily. So Raghav, your views on CSK's 11?
CSK, I think they should make 2 changes. One, I think default. I think Raidu will be fit. I think so. He was just so he'll come back into the team, and then I think they may drop Vijay, and I would want to see. I'm not sure whether they will pick him, but after what happened last game, they should try out Sai Kishore.
Yes.
For Chawla, because Chawla, I'm sure he had a great game against Mumbai, but he looked very substandard in Sharjah. So you need to, of course, they're not playing in Sharjah; they're playing in Abu Dhabi, but still.
Dubai. Yeah.
Okay, so Dubai. So the pitch is different, but I would want Sai Kishore because you need to give him you picked him for a specific purpose. He's a backup spinner, so you give him the opportunity for few games. If it doesn't click, bring back a Chawla back because he is a experienced campaigner, so he can come back later on. But these are the 2 changes, if you ask me. Foreign players, knowing CSK and their pattern, I don't think they will let go of Watson and Faf, and of course Faf. No one will leave, but I'm talking about Watson mainly. He's not done much so far, but they will give him a long run. So I don't see changes even in the bowling there. I think Nigidi might continue despite his 2 games because that's how Dhoni likes to operate. It's worked wonders for him as well, earlier. So I won't comment much there. Only these 2 Indian.
So I would actually like to see how Chennai goes with team selection if they lose 2-3 continuous matches.
Yeah.
So they have not actually been tested in that way, like RCB gets tested with four straight losses or 5 straight losses. So I would actually want to see if they lose 3 in a row, will they still persist with Watson or that kind of stuff? So that we'll come to know. That's quite hypothetical and might not happen. But I would still want to see
But one
how
more
that
thing is
goes first.
they are not a fan of having many team meetings, so you never know.
Yeah.
Like that's what. So,
So the Saturday's match then goes between KKR and Sunrisers. So we've already talked about KKR. So SRH. So SRH, what would you want them to change? Do you think Nabi is required as a finisher, and or you would want to prefer to strengthen your batting with Kane Williamson coming in, and then Manish Pandey being able to bat at 4, which gives them actually a lot of depth. So, how do they change their 11 to get the best out of them? Manju?
yeah, this combination actually there's not much wrong with it currently, apart from the fact that there is less game time in the middle order. So I think if we add Nabi to the mix, we can persist with this same order. Even Abhishek Sharma was very decent in his spell. He got rid of Finch with an arm ball. So they have the ammunition as far as these multifunctional players are concerned. So I think we can give them a go. Even Priyam Garg is a promising talent. So there's no need to immediately rush and change. And we just wait for Kane to get fit. Then the overseas combination will change.
But Kane being removed from captaincy was one indication that they were not sure of him being in the starting 11. So,
Right.
would you actually want him to be in the 11, Raghav?
I would want him to be in the 11, but I don't think he will be. There's no chance as of now, as far as I see. So, and if you look at, because the balance will change completely, because you're compromising on one bowler if you bring in Williamson into the current mix. So that is not something which SRH can afford, especially after the first game where the bowling was actually easily the better of the two on display. So only point is how long do they want to test out Priyam Garg over Abdul Samad,
Abdul
because
Samad.
Vijay Shankar
Yeah.
is your experienced pro. He
Right.
had a off day, but I think he's a senior guy in the mix. He has played for India in the World Cup, so I had to give him that credit. He is going to be the glue around which Priyam Garg, Abdul Samad, Abhishek Kapoor will operate from, not Williamson, as far as I see. So I think Abdul Samad versus Priyam Garg is my only change. And anyway, Mitchell Marsh is ruled out of the IPL because
Yeah.
of the ankle injury. So Nabi should be, logically speaking, 100% swap for him. 4 overs of good off spin, very good fielder, very good outfielder, more than anything else, and extremely uh, unnoticed batsman, I would say, not even underappreciated. Nobody notices, but he can come and play the finisher's role. So that is the only change that we want to get in the summer
And
early in the tournament and shock KKR, or do you want to just hold back and say he's a surprise weapon? Let's bring him in the second half of the tournament or something like this. I'm just the that all boils down to, I think, main role here is Lakshman's, I feel, because he was the one who was persistent on getting under 19 talents, and he was the one who I clearly remember an auction day as well, when Abdul Samad's name came up. He was the first one to raise their franchise, the first one. So clearly, he's been following domestic cricket extremely closely. So hopefully, he gets a go. So that is the only thing. Priyam Garg versus
another
Abdul Samad.
point I would like to make about their youngsters is that everybody looked like they didn't look like they were under pressure. Priyam Garg was also playing well, played one false shot. Abhishek also looked like he could have easily won them the match if he stayed. It was like a unfortunate run out and all those things happened. But till the time Abhishek was there, I was still feeling that SRH can still win this.
Yeah.
So in that sense,
Still
those
win.
players are a confident lot, and I think they should they would be given a run for at least 2-3 matches with obviously Mitchell Marsh's replacement in terms of either Kane or Nabi, whatever SRH decides. And they have Allen also sitting. So Fabian Allen can also come in, and he actually gives them a much more certain finishing role as compared to basis current reputation, I would say. Obviously, how it unfolds in terms of his performances. But yeah, I think Allen can be given a go if they think that finishing is not happening. And Raghav was quite right that Vijay Shankar needs to now raise his hand
couple of no
and
balls,
give them like a
very
300,
unfortunate
400 run result.
Yeah, right.
So he has to give them that stability of a number 4 is actually a player who you can bank upon in at least 70-75% of the matches. So he needs to give them that consistency, and he can. I think their problem again is that both their so they have an anchor at 4. So Shankar is not really known for that quick run. So an anchor coming in as an opener on number 3 still is okay. But given that their top 3 perform so well, their anchor just walks in at 15th, 16th over. That actually is not a good strategy. So they need to have that flexibility that if they have reached that 15th, 16th over or even a little earlier, they actually stop Shankar from coming, and maybe these hitters, young hitters can come in first and try to seal the game for them. So great. I think we'll stop at that, and we'll do another episode on Saturday. So from that, from Sunday onward games, we can look at in the next episode. So about Chennai versus Delhi, what prediction, guys? Manju?
Looking good for Capitals actually, provided Mishra comes or
Raghav?
Unfortunately, I won't disagree the same. I'm backing the Delhi Capitals. Not only in this game, actually, I'm backing them to win the tournament if their unit fires. So that's my personal bet is on Delhi Capitals. So that's the reason why and I think but I don't know about Ashwin. I haven't heard of anything like he's ruled out as such.
No,
Probably
not yet.
he made this. Yeah, so you may not know. Maybe Ashwin might still play. But yeah. So then I don't think there's anything to worry for Delhi as such.
Because his over only turned that game on its head, like 1 over 2 wickets, and settled batsman gone. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, my connection was a little unstable. Yeah, and finally, I would like to close by just talking about the role of spinners versus pacers. So while a couple of teams are actually still going for a pace-heavy attack, some people have, when we started, we actually thought that spin would be very critical. And spinners have not been very easy to hit, frankly. Apart from a few overs here and there, spinners have actually been difficult to hit. So in those terms, what trends do you see emerging in terms of the bowling composition? So the minimum that is required in terms of having death bowling, or do you think pace can still be something that teams can bank on and have three genuine pacers and one all-rounder also there, as let's say a Mumbai has? So your views on that, Anju?
Yeah, so mainly it is express pace is the way to go. That's what most of the teams have selected. Like even though Stain is at the end, but still he classifies as express. So it is something which takes the pitch out of the equation, and also if needed, they can bowl Yorkers like Rabada has proven. So mostly the problem is with those who are in between, who are not express and they are medium pace. That has been taken heavy toll of. And spinners also, there seems to already be a bias against finger spinners. Like there have been more nods for wrist spinners in the 11 as against finger spinners. So this is something which should change. But the another problem is the dew factor. So maybe due to the second innings dew, they are reluctant to select finger spinners who will bowl the cake of soap in the second innings. So that has been a issue. So even between Ashwin and Krishnappa Gautam, Ashwin bowled really well, and even Gautam wasn't bad. So still, but still, they don't seem to get the nod. Or like Mumbai don't seem to want to include Jayant Yadav. So they are happy with the left arm spinner. So they are looking for something extra, not only spin, something else in the batting, finishing, etc. That is how it has been.
Yeah. So
Raghav,
for
any different
yeah,
views?
two trends which will emerge is one is the floater. Floater's role is going to be extremely important for this team. You need to designate even a floater, even if you ask me. Like I had
Yes.
mentioned how I would like to see Russell be that for KKR than just coming at 3 down to finish, send him at 1 down if you're playing in Sharjah. So that flexibility should be there in every franchise. And then second is the uh, mix of not mix, the importance of bowling people who can be in the middle, as Manju was saying earlier, who are not done that well, but because they will dominate the tournament. Because we are playing only in 3 grounds, that is one factor. Second is the pitches in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, everything, everywhere there in UAE gets slower and slower as it goes by, time goes by. So you're not going to find, probably exceptions could be there like Rabada, Bumrah, etc. But leave them aside. People who are in the 120 to 135 range, who have the cutters, so the Stoinis, uh, from then Chris Morris if he is fit. So those bowlers will dominate, and I am as I would say as bemused as Manju why they are persistent with only leg spinners.
Yeah.
Yes, leg spinners have dominated T20 cricket, but you need to look at the conditions. You look at the stats which since Pakistan have played in UAE from 2009-10. It's Saeed Ajmal who was of course being a Pakistan player, he would have played lot more games than others, but still he is well ahead of others. So the off spinners have done well in the conditions. So let's look at the conditions only, not the teams. And so there needs to be a mix of both, which few teams have. And I see that trend increasing while they will ask your part-timers to, or the so-called part-timers to give more. Because like a classic example yesterday, where Chennai could have tried Kedar Jadhav. When Savla was getting creamed, like Sanju Samson was hitting him at will. Instead of bringing a Savla again, they could have bought in Kedar Jadhav. I'm not sure Kedar Jadhav would have done any damage as such, but at least some deviation from the actual plan, set plan. So those are the trends which will be clearly visible, where you will be completely surprised with the batting orders, the team composition, because it's not a usual IPL, if you have to call it. So that is for sure. And teams who can adapt to this flexibility, I think will find themselves in the top 4 of the points table as we go along. So that's a key angle, if you ask me. Flexibility.
So great, guys.
Yeah.
Looking forward to having a few close matches in the next in this week as well, because that's what uh, gives
At
the
least one,
excitement. Once
at
I
least
get
one super over. At least one super over a week will, it will sustain me for the next.
yeah. So to finish it off, who are the top 2 teams you are backing? Raghav, you
Uh,
already said Delhi. So
yeah.
apart from that,
I would say Delhi and Mumbai. Mumbai Indians for me.
Okay. Manju, your choices?
Yeah, mine is RCB and Delhi Capitals.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Nice. So I am actually with Manju. I am also actually backing Delhi and RCB. And I would actually want these teams to, so for once, a Kings, a Delhi and an RCB, all three qualifying.
Yeah.
And then one place can be taken by anybody else. So that would actually make it really, really interesting instead of having that MICSK final every time. So
Right.
Yeah.
I think so that
So you
that
want
would be actually good.
L non-classico for a change.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Delhi deserves to be in that top four, but we have to see how maturely they can handle that pressure once they reach the top four. So these teams who have not actually played there quite often, they fail after reaching there because of that pressure and those kind of things.
Correct.
So they need to, if they can handle that, and if all of them are the ones who have never played, so then that neutralizes the pressure. So so that would be good if we can see these three teams all qualifying, and if by chance RR can also do it, so then it will be like completely out of the book for everybody.
Right.
So thank you guys. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll hope to see you again once, let's say 3-4 matches have gone by, and we'll come back and review those and look at how teams stack up, what new things have happened, and how these new developments lead to a different kind of a strategy for different teams. So thank you, Raghav.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manju, for coming on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, Sunit. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.